Well, Barry, I guess the first question I have for you is, just your take on the Bruins through the first 57 games of the year.
Well, I think I would probably echo the sounds and the feelings for the Bruins fan, which I am one. I know you are as well, which is frustration. I didn't anticipate this at the beginning of the year. Not the wins losses so much, but the way they're playing. They have completely lost their team identity, which was, solid team defense, great penalty killing. The power play would be okay. I didn't expect the power play to be dead last almost in the National Hockey League whatsoever. When you have those ingredients, that usually means you're going to go on the road. You can probably play 600 hockey. What are the Bruins now? They're 6 games below or 9 games, whatever they are, below 500 on the road. And the major reason for all that is because you don't play team defense, because you can't kill penalties consistently, you can't handle adversity. And now we're even starting to see before this break some of the games at home where the Bruins have had that opportunity to put away another team and they just can't handle the pressure and they can't handle the adversity.
Yeah, 18-9-3 at home. They've played well at home for the most part, especially since the calendar turned to 2025. But you mentioned the road record, 9-15-3 on the year. And Barry, this is a startling stat. They have one road win since they returned from the holiday break, which is just incredible. It was that win over the Florida Panthers back on January 11th. And in that game, the Panthers outplayed the Bruins, but the Bees, to their credit, ended up finding a way to win. In terms of the fix for this team, Barry, I know there's more than one thing, but where do you start, I guess, in terms of, Joe Sacco and his group are coming back after the break. They'll have 4 days of practice before they play that game against the Ducks. What's the message to the group in that week before their first game back?
Well, I think just get back to basics. And, that sounds really easy, but I remember when Joe Sacco took over that first 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so with the coaching change, I really thought they were getting back to the basics. I started to see them, cut down on the shots against, cut down on the turnovers, manage the puck better. When you have those things going, that allows the defensemen to stand up, control their gaps, not give up the blue line so easy, not allow scoring opportunities against. It helps you on breakouts and all the little things that this organization has been known for, these last 10 years or so, where they've been so successful and admired around the National Hockey League. They got to get back to that. But, boy, that's a lot easier said than done. As we have seen, I think a lot of the problems aren't only the Bruins. When I look around the league, I see the same problems.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you look at the standings, too, and everybody's jumbled up in the Eastern Conference. And the Bruins on the outside looking in right now, but they're still in the mix. And that's what makes it such a difficult decision for the Bruins front office, the GM Don Sweeney, the president Cam Neely. They talk about 2 different paths. Which one are they going to take? And when you look at this team, and it's hard not to think about the expectations that were attached to the team going into the year. There were high expectations. You go into the offseason, you address your needs, you get Zadorov on the back end, you get Lindholm to address your center position, and then to have the start that they had, 8-9-3, fire the head coach. You get a bump from Joe Sacco, but it seems like you've sort of regressed in that way. It's a difficult decision for this front office, whether to add or retool.
Yeah, and I think too, Adam. I don't think I was the only person. When I looked at the Bruins 6D, and then you have 7 and 8, 9 depth at the beginning of the year, I thought that was their absolute strength. That's what they were going to be successful on the back end. As you know, I'm a firm believer that your offense is created by your defense, and I was really looking for Charlie McAvoy to have a solid year. He has really struggled. I thought Carlo last year was their steadiest defenseman the entire year. I thought he had a spectacular year. I was looking for him to continue his improvement. I thought he has struggled. And then, of course, Hampus Lindholm with his injury. There's your big 3 on the backside that have, kind of, to me, struggled. And the Bruins, when they're playing their team defense, it starts with those 6, but the forwards have to help out as well defensively. And they just haven't been consistent. And, you talk about the teams around the league, Winnipeg and Washington, to me, have been, right from the get-go, have been the two best teams in the East and the West. And you look at where they are defensively, I think Winnipeg's 1 and Washington's 3. So when you're playing a team defense, that means you're emotionally vested. You mean that you got buy-in from everybody on the team. That means you have that intensity every single night, because it's difficult to play team defense, and that's what makes that's such an important part of the game, and that has always been the Bruins' strength. But they've gotten away from it right now, and man, do they need it bad as they try and get back in this playoff run here.
Yeah, no question about that. And talking about what's not gone right for the Bruins, what's gone wrong so far, but
yeah.
I'll tell you kind of wonder, where would they be without David Pastrnak and the way he's played since the first of the year, especially.
Yeah.
Leading the NHL in goals and points. He's on a 13-game point streak. The offensive part of his game, the goal scoring, obviously, but the passing for Pasternak's been great. He's had a 200-foot game. What stood out to you about the way 88's played?
Well, I think what you just accurately described is not the surprise. The surprise was the start, right? I mean, I thought last year he was top 3 MVP candidates, I thought. Because, again, it was almost a 45-point gap between him and the next, points on the Bruins standings. And that's just too large of a gap. To me, he was their most important forward, obviously, and one of the most valuable and most exciting players in the National Hockey League. Got off to a slow start. And to me, without being in the room and watching, to me, it looked like he wasn't healthy. It just, when that puck got on his stick, he didn't have that jump. He didn't have that energy. He looked like when he was coming off for shifts, he was winded. Then all of a sudden, after that, that Christmas break into January, it looked like he got healthy. And all of a sudden, you could see he was smiling again. He felt good about himself. And the offensive production, and then some, has taken over. And we're seeing now why he is regarded as one of the most exciting players in the National Hockey League.
Yep, and so Pasta is hot, but he's going to be on the shelf like most of his teammates and most of the NHL for the next week and a half or so for the Four Nations break. And obviously 4 members of the Bruins representing their countries with McAvoy and Swayman, USA, Lindholm representing Sweden, and Brad Marchand, Team Canada once again. The question I have for you, Barry, is, a couple of players that we've talked about so far, in McAvoy and Lindholm, maybe in particular, players that have high expectations attached to them, much is expected of them, and they haven't had the greatest of seasons. Do you think that playing in this Four Nations tournament with the best and against the best can maybe help elevate their game and carry over into the last 25?
Oh, absolutely. And that is the hope, I'm sure, for every general manager and every team around the National Hockey League, that you would like these top players to get their rest. But of course, they're being used here in these 4-team format. And you're hoping that when they come back, their confidence is going to be sky high. They feel good about their game individually. They had a successful tournament, and you can take your play hopefully to the next level and help your team advance. However, there's also the risk that your team doesn't perform very well and you don't have a very good tournament, and your confidence can go the other way. So it's going to be important, obviously, in this Four-Nation tournament. The pressure is on the United States and Canada, and we will see how that works out.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder, too, with this extended break, how it's going to impact teams once they get back, right? We talk about the players, obviously, who are playing in it. Maybe they can go on a heater and carry that over. But the guys like David Pastrnak, who were on a heater and are coming back, and everybody's sort of hit the reset button. I wonder how it's going to affect players individually, and it's going to affect teams as a whole, and maybe it could be, in the Bruins case, you hope is a reset button and a refresh, and you come out of the gates firing, but you kind of don't know what to expect here, do you?
No, we haven't known what to expect with this team from game to game. Just when you think they got it going, bang, you go back to the next game, and it's like, what just happened? I thought you had 23 shots against the entire game, and then after the first period, the next game, you got 20 against, and it's going like, what just happened? We need a reset here and get things going. I think the teams that will do well right out of the gates will be the teams that are doing well right now, in the sense that the teams that play well defensively, have good goaltending, that's kind of your base. then the individual talent, the power play, the specialty teams, that will be, get going as you get back into the grind. But I think the teams that have that good, solid base, which is what the Bruins' identity has been in the past, man, you hope they can find it going into the last 25 games because they need it really bad.
Speaking of Four Nations and international play, obviously this is the first best-on-best tournament that the NHL's had since 2016. Everybody's got their eye towards the Olympic Games in 2026. As somebody who played for their country and wore the Team Canada sweater, what's that feeling like?
Well, I think Marshy's done a really good job of communicating, how humbling of an experience it is. And I think if you really want to get a sense of how important playing for your country is or playing on a team sport, to me, that's what makes Ryder Cup golf so exciting, right? These guys can handle the pressure individually. It doesn't matter. If I let myself down, okay, that's one thing. But if I let my team down, my teammate down, and my country down, wow, that's a different feeling. So the pressure gets magnified. And as we see in the Ryder Cup, not everybody can handle it. And then some of them are just so good and so mentally tough, they can handle it extraordinarily well.
I love how you brought golf into the conversation. I was wondering if that was going to be the case. I mean, with Brick,
doesn't it always lead there, Adam? It always leads there, doesn't it? It goes full circle.
Well, again, I mean, you said you've been scouting this podcast for the first 36 episodes. We have Brick on for about half of those episodes. Golf comes up in all of those episodes. So I know that you probably were taking notes and saying, okay, good, I can make a Ryder Cup reference. I can make some sort of golf reference on this show. So I am all in. In terms of your break, Barry, I know that, you have a day job, and so that's keeping you busy. But how have you been spending your time away from the rink?
Well, we were down in Florida for a week, got back Monday, and as you know, I'm a new grandfather, so I will be heading up as we hang up here. I'm going to be heading down to the South Shore to hopefully see my granddaughter that I haven't seen in about 10 days, and we're very blessed that everyone from my daughter and the baby and her husband, everyone's doing tremendously well, and we're very excited about the future.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you and your family. And, I've noticed on social media, I know that you're not a big social media guy, but
No.
Our guy Dale Arnold is. Dale's a big social media guy, and he's been overseas. He's been in Paris. He's been seeing the world during his break.
He's
so
over
he's
there.
making the
He's
most
over
of
there
it.
visiting his son, and his son, I think, has got a fellowship over there, and so he's over there visiting them. He and his wife, and good for Dale. It's an opportunity, as we all know, as we move on. It's all about family, and to have that opportunity is tremendous.
No question about that. Glad you're able to spend time with your family. Glad you were able to come on the Hockey Hub podcast for the first time. Hopefully not the last time. Hopefully this went well.
Be. It all depends.
All right.
It all depends if your check bounces or not.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, we'll have to see about that. We'll wait for the check to clear, and then we'll ask you on again. Barry Pederson joining us on the Hockey Hub. Look forward to seeing you in the unofficial second half, my friend.
You as well, my friend. Always look forward to seeing you.